Hi, students. I'm going to give you sort of a recreation of the um, lecture that I gave in class on Monday, and it pertains to your last or your final project concerning creating and validating a psychological scale. Okay, so let's talk a bit about that. What you're going to do are kind of three phases in this work that you're going to be doing. You're first going to come up with some idea about what you want to measure in terms of psychological ideas, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But you're going to generate 30 words and phrases that deal with some uh, topic that you want to measure with people. Okay, so you're going to generate items, and then you're going to check the validity of their content, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. Then you're going to create a scale with 30 items on it. And you're going to kind of pre-test the items with a friend or something just to make sure that those items make sense. And then you're going to administer the scale to the entire class and maybe friends and family and coworkers, however many people you can get to take the scale. And then we'll do some statistical analysis to reduce the number of items on your scale so that they are measuring the construct at a good level. Okay, and I'll talk about that as the project goes on. So in the last phase, we'll evaluate your scale, we'll test the reliability of your scale, and we'll also assess the validity of your scale, okay? So it's kind of complex right now, but you'll understand as I go through this little talk, okay? Now, the first step that you're going to take is to generate items for some construct that you want to measure with people. All right. Now, there are many scales that we have in psychology right now. We have some that measure anxiety. We have some that measure depression. We have some that measure political ideas like conservatism or liberalism. All right. And I've got some here on this slide that are kind of interesting, and maybe you want to choose one of these to use as your scale project, or you can come up with a different idea, okay, based on what you're interested in. So I have here a suspicion scale, a scale that measures how suspicious a person is. Also, you could make an empathy scale. How empathetic is a person, to other people? Okay, that's interesting. You could also make a trust scale. How much do people actually trust others, or maybe certain occupations? How much do people trust doctors, right? So you can make your scale just on those specific ideas, or a big general idea about how much people trust others, okay? You can make a scale on individualism and collectivism. Individualism is something that we are like in our Western world. We usually want to do things on our own without the help of other people, and so we call that individualistic behavior. In other societies, like in Japan or China or Korea, people may be more collective in nature, and they may want to rely on other people to get towards some goals, okay? So this might be an idea for a scale as well. Impulsivity, an impulsivity scale. How impulsive are people about doing certain behaviors? How much risk do people take when they feel impulsive, right? And so impulsivity might be a good one as well. And then there is a scale right now called grit, and that is how much do people stick to the work that they're doing, regardless of all of the uh, things that are in their way, right? And how much do they stick to the purpose of what they're doing? That's grit, okay? And then you can come up with other ideas, all right? So I'm going to pull this down for just a minute, and I'm going to pull up, let's see, the internet. So let me pull up the internet and let's see if I can look and see. See, let me make this smaller so I can get to the controls here. We're going to look at a scale online just to see what they look like. Okay, so maybe anxiety scale. All right. So let me look one up and you can see what they look like. Okay. Here's one with 7 items. It's called the GAD-7 Generalized Anxiety Disorder. All right, let me make this bigger if I can. There we go. All right, so this has 7 items, and people are rating their answers to these items on a scale from 0 to 3. Okay, do you see that? All right, how much in the last 2 weeks have you been bothered by the following problems? It says feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge. Okay. Not at all, several days, more than half the days, nearly every day during the 2-week period. Not being able to stop or control worrying. Okay. And then you make some rating on that. Worrying too much about different things. And here is the rating scale here. Trouble relaxing. And then you have a rating scale. Being so restless that it is hard to sit still. And then you rate that item. Becoming easily annoyed or irritable. Okay, and then you rate that item. And then feeling afraid as if something awful might happen. Okay, so that's worrying, right? And then you rate that. All right. So that's just one scale, and you can see what it looks like. Let me go back and find another one. Let's see. Let's see, that's anxiety. Let's see if there is a grit scale online, okay? Let's just see. Here's a 12-item grit scale. Scale. All right, and this is the way we're going to be setting ours up. We have the item here, and then you're going to have a rating scale under this, okay? This one looks like it ranges from 0 or 1 through 5, okay? It says the directions for taking the grit scale. Please respond to the following 12 items. Be honest. There are no right or wrong answers, okay? So the first item says, I have overcome setbacks to conquer an important challenge. And then people rate that. New ideas and projects sometimes distract me from previous ones. That looks like a reversed item, doesn't it? Okay, and you remember about reversed items that we would reverse score the answer on that. My interests change from year to year. That's also a reversed item, and that's why there's an asterisk after those 2 items, right? And you answer that and then reverse the score. Setbacks don't discourage me, and then you answer that one. I've been obsessed with a certain idea or project for a short time, but later lost interest. That's a reversed item. Okay, so people with grit would continue on with the project and keep interested in it, right? And then you answer that and reverse the score. I am a hard worker. That's another item on this grit scale. And then you can just kind of read through these. It looks like, you know, half of them are reversed and half of them are just positively worded. So I finish whatever I began, that's positive, right? And then you answer that. I have achieved a goal that took years of work. Okay, you answer that one. I am diligent. Okay. Now, the question is here, as I'm looking at these items, is this worded in such a way that it's easy to understand all the terms in each item? Okay, that last one, I am diligent. Well, what does diligent mean? All right, it seems like, that may not be worded in simplistic enough terms for all people to take this scale, right? And so you want to make sure that you use very simple terms that don't require the scale taker to invest a lot of thought into what does this word mean, right? Because if they have to sit there and interpret it, it's very difficult for them to, get through all the items on the scale. Okay. All right, let's go back to our PowerPoint now. All right, so the first thing again is to come up with an idea for what kind of a scale you're going to create. All right, how do we create the scale then? Well, you have to define the construct that you're looking at. So usually you'll go to a dictionary to get kind of an initial idea about what a construct means, okay? So you'll go to a dictionary. So let's say we're looking at impulsivity, right? If someone is impulsive, what does that mean? Well, again, I'm going to, stop sharing this PowerPoint and we're going to go back to the internet and we're going to look up what, let's see, a dictionary, right? A dictionary online. Here's dictionary.com and I'm going to type in impulse, okay? Because that's kind of a derivative of impulsive, right? Impulse. What is an impulse? All right. An impulse is the influence of a particular feeling or mental state. To act under a generous impulse, to strike out at someone from an angry impulse, okay? A sudden involuntary inclination prompting to action, to be swayed by impulse, okay? It could be something about buying behavior, right? So you could be an impulse buyer. And then again, on, buying behavior, to reduce expenses, shun impulse items when shopping. So you can see where we might be able to get a couple of terms from this definition and use it on our scale, okay? All right, so that's the first place to start is a dictionary. Now, I'm going to go to Google Scholar, which is the next step in the PowerPoint, and I'm going to look up impulsivity. All right, what does it mean? Varieties of impulsivity. Let me just go here. Oh, I'm just trying to get the PDF. Well, I can't get that one. Let me get another one. Behavioral components. All right, let's just try that. Let's see if we can get that one. All right, open up, open up. And we'll see if there are some, oh, they're having trouble finding that site. Let's see if we can find some full text article that will allow me to get some ideas about what impulsivity is, okay? It looks like my internet is slow. I don't know what's going on here. Let's just wait for a minute and see if anything pops up. Oh, it's loading. Okay, wonderful. Okay, new developments on impulsivity or in impulsivity. Let's just see if there is a article on this. Maybe. It looks like it's loading or it's searching. I'm sorry it's taking so long. I guess the internet is tired. Okay. So let's wait just a minute. See if this pops up. It's slowly moving. Okay, it's kind of like dial-up internet, isn't it? All right, new developments in impulsivity. All right, so impulsivity is a dimension of personality. I didn't know that. It's the failure to resist an impulse, a drive, or temptation that is harmful to oneself or others. So you might write down that a couple of words or a phrase that deals with defining impulsivity is resist, okay? Resist the temptation. You might use that as a phrase, okay? That's maybe one. And then how about carelessness? There's another word that we could put into an item on the scale. I am careless when I am trying to get work done or something like that, okay? Risk taking, okay? There's another phrase that we can use to write down as one of the terms that we might use on our scale. Sensation seeking, okay? Pleasure seeking. These are all phrases that we can write down that deal with this concept of impulsivity. Okay, an underestimated sense of harm, that's another phrase that we can write down. And extroversion. Now, we don't really want that term because this is a dimension of personality instead of impulsive behavior, okay? Impulsivity is a core symptom of a broad spectrum of psychiatric disorders, including disorders of impulse control. Pathological gambling could be a phrase that you would. Okay, so it looks like the internet went out and I was interrupted. Okay, but anyway, we went to this impulsivity paper, and we're picking out little words and phrases that have to do with what impulsivity is. Okay, so you see that you can go to a couple of journal articles, maybe, and a dictionary to find out, some words and phrases that we can use on our scale. Okay, and we need 30 words or phrases generated based on those definitions that we look up either in the dictionary or on in Google Scholar or the library website or in both. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to do after you choose the type of scale that you want to make. Okay, so you need 30 words or phrases. Now, what you're going to do after you get your 30 words or phrases is you're going to look at each one of those words or phrases and see if they really measure what you're intending to measure. So impulsivity, right? If we were doing impulsivity and we included the word extroversion, well, that is not a valid measure of impulsivity, right? And so that's why I would avoid using that word in my list of terms, my words or phrases, okay? So validity means, does the word or phrase measure the construct and nothing else? Okay, so you've got to decide that after you get all 30 of your words or phrases. That's your second task. Okay. Next, you're going to make items for your scale based on the words or phrases that you have generated. Okay. You're going to have 15 statements that measure the construct in a regular manner, okay, where we don't have to reverse the score on it. And then you're going to have 15 items that are reverse worded, okay? And these statements will kind of be mixed up on the scale. You'll keep track of which items are supposed to be reverse scored after people take your scale, okay? But you want to make sure they're all mixed up so that, whoever the scale taker is, they don't just write down 7, 7, 7, 7 going all the way down the 30 items. We want them to think about what they're rating each time they read one of your items, okay? So that's why we mix these up, and some are reversed and some are straightforward, okay? All right, after you get your scale with 30 items on it, then you're going to think about what Likert scale am I going to put after each statement. So, usually you will have a 1 through 7 scale, but you could have a 1 through 5 scale or a 1 through 4 scale, where 1 is I do not agree at all, and 7 or 5 or 4 means I agree completely, okay? So you decide what you want to do there. Right? You want to give people choices so they can make ratings on each one of the items, though. Okay. All right, after you get your items and the response scales under each item, then you're going to create the scale in a Word document. Okay. And you don't want to put a title at the top. You saw that grit scale earlier. You don't want to put grit scale at the top, right? You want to just write questionnaire or something like that, okay? And that way people won't know actually what you're trying to measure, okay? Because if they guess it, then that makes your results a little tainted. Whereas if they don't know what you're trying to measure, then they can go through the scale and your results should be good, okay? All right, so after you put it in a Word document, you can then make a fillable form where people can, be sent this fillable form, and they can click on their ratings after each item, okay? And then those ratings are saved, and then they send you back the Word document, and you have your data, okay? And save that fillable form as your last name and scale, okay? So if this were my scale, I'd name it Scale Bond. Okay, like that. All right. Now to administer the scale, what we can do is one day in class after the break, after the Monday that we're off on the 27th, you can bring that scale to class, and I can start showing it in class to other classmates so they can make their ratings on your scale, okay? Or you can send the fillable form to your friends, family members, or coworkers, and they can take it. And then you'll have data back from them as well. Okay, so a number of classmates are in class, but also friends and family members and coworkers, and you can get data from all these people. Just say it's a class project that you're doing, and get back the data. Okay. All right, I'm going to explain this, later in the week when we get back. But what you're going to do after you get your data back is you're going to make an Excel spreadsheet where all the columns are named like item 1, item 2, item 3, all the way to item 30 going across the columns. And then each row, you'll just have numbers, okay, from each participant who takes your scale, okay? So you'll have that in your Excel spreadsheet, and then you're going to save the spreadsheet, okay? All right, and then again, we're going to talk about using a statistical platform to analyze the data that you collect, okay? So I'll show you how to do this in class, and I can do it for you if you're having trouble doing it. But what we're going to be doing is a reliability analysis in this software program, okay? SPSS is a software program, a statistical software program where, it's called statistical analysis for the social sciences, okay? Statistical product, okay? All right, and then after we do the reliability analysis, you'll see which items on your scale were not very good, okay? And we'll eliminate those and just keep the good items that were on your scale. based on the statistical analysis, okay? And I'll show you all this in class, you know. Then what is the final product? And you'll be graded on this, and it's worth 50 points. You'll write a paper about the validation and the process used to create the scale, and then check the reliability of it. So what you want to do is take plenty of notes, all right? You go to a definition in a dictionary, you go to Google Scholar, and you've written down a bunch of words or phrases, okay, that you collected from various sources, and you want to take notes on the sources that you went to get those 30 words and phrases, and then you'll have those notes for this paper, and then you want to talk about how you made the items, okay? They're not questions, they're statements, right? And you want to make that clear in your paper. And then how did you reverse 15 of the items out of the 30? Okay. And then you want to write a little paragraph about that. You want to keep good notes when I teach you how to use SPSS to check the reliability of the scale. And you're going to write a paragraph about that. So each little step that we go through to make the scale and then to validate it, you're going to write a paragraph about each of those items, okay, in this paper. And then you're going to write a few sentences about the items that were removed. Why were they bad items, according to the statistical analysis? Were they worded badly, or did people not understand the item that you wrote, right, and how to rate it? Well, these are bad items, and then you'll need to talk about, you know, why they were removed. Right? Then you're going to write a little paragraph conclusion about your results and your overall experience doing this project. And this thing will be worth 50 points. Okay, you'll have a cover sheet on this, and then you'll have all of your paragraphs in there about each step in this process. Okay. All right, and I'll talk more about all of this when we come back from the break, but I just wanted to make sure that you get a heads up and a head start on what we're going to be doing in this project. Okay. All right, have a good break, and I'll see you next week when we come back. Bye-bye.